What's going on, guys? Disorderly Product News. The man you're looking at on the screen before you is the one, the only, Rondo number 9, spelled like this, all one word. Rondo number 9 is a rapper, among other things, but we're going to get into that in this video. But he cemented his street legacy when he took these pictures and uploaded them to social media. That's right, look at the picture on the right. Your eyes aren't playing tricks on you. He's holding a bazooka and an imaginary gun at the same damn time. This story is unbelievable. We have fame, murder, money, women. We have it all in this story. And we need to get to that. But before we even think about getting to that, we have to do something. What do we got to do, guys? That's right. Cue the music.
Situation in Chicago that is infamous. It's a moment in history, and that's the time that an anti-tank rocket launcher was found in the streets of Chicago, and the whole city damn near had a panic attack. Now, this story takes place in 2013-2014.
Now, if you thought the savages of Chirac were gonna let Rondo number 9 get all the glow off the rocket launcher, you'd be wrong. Step in this man, P. Rico, a man who likes to make his eggs with an AK-47. He himself posted a picture to his social media with another rocket launcher. The name of this weapon is the AT-4. AT stands for anti-tank. The AT-4 is a Swedish 84mm unguided, man-portable, single-shot, disposable, recoilless, smoothbore anti-tank weapon. That's the thing about this. It's disposable, like a disposable razor. It's shot once and it's no longer good. That's it. It has one shot and it's no longer operational after that. The AT-4 is made by the Swedish company Saab that also makes the automobile. In November of 2010, Saab received a $15 million euro order from the French Defense Forces. So this just goes to show you these are legit weapons that are being used today. These are not outdated weaponry. Obviously, when you post a picture of yourself with a bazooka in a major American city, it's going to draw the attention of law enforcement. The CPD came out with this: Crime Control Strategies Deployment Operations Center, 3rd District Gang Violence. On the 17th of December 2013, Officer Safety Bulletin was issued with intelligence that indicated that there is a high probability that Brick Squad gangster disciples, P. Rico, were in possession of a rocket launcher. Further intelligence now suggests that Brick City, Wick City, Black Disciples, that's Rondo number 9, Chief Keef, D. Rose, may also be in possession of a rocket launcher. The high-level gang conflict involving Lamron, Black Disciples, Chief Keef, D. Rose, and Brick Squad, Gangster Disciples, FBG Duck, P. Rico, Little JoJo, in the area near 6300 to 7100 south from Harvard to Halstead has sparked violence of recent weeks. Open source intelligence further indicates that the Brick City, Wick City, Black Disciples may be in possession of a rocket launcher similar to the one in the photo to the right. Brick City, Wick City, Black Disciples are constantly fighting various factions of the Gangster Disciples within the 3rd District. The picture right here of Rondo number 9, real name Clint Massey, was born in 1997. He was 16 when he posted the picture with the rocket launcher. He's 5'8", 150 pounds. There are several photos posted on social media with Massey in possession of a rocket launcher similar to the one in the photo above. The photos were taken down after all the attention, but here's what Rondo number 9 said about that on D-Thing. That rocket launcher publicity was foo-foo. Who the will do something with a rocket launcher? You'll post a picture with it on social media, but that is just a prelude to what's to come. Because if you think this was the worst thing he could have put on social media, no. He takes it to the next level and ruins his life and the life of a whole bunch of other people. The rocket launcher posts were in December of 2013. On February 22nd, 2014, Rondo number 9 puts, "Don't sneak this, us, or we're gonna come kill ya. Also, later on that night into the 23rd, cooling in my spot and getting high off that gun smoke with Drea 26, Ben Bad. These would be ominous posts. We would soon find out.
Joaquin Boyd was fatally shot early Saturday in the Armour Square community, just blocks south of U.S. Cellular Field. Family members said the 28-year-old was working part-time as a livery driver when he was shot, waiting to pick up a customer.
And what made Rondo special wasn't the work he was putting in on the streets, but the work he was putting in the booth, rising to musical prominence at such a young age. Born in '97, Rondo was only 16 when his musical career began. Play for Keeps with L.A. Capone, a track that is today sitting at a ginormous 41 million views.
On the night of February 21st, 2014, Rondo number 9, D. Rose, C-Day, and other Black Disciple members attended a party here at the Wentworth Gardens housing projects. Now remember that date. He's out on the 21st. These ominous posts come on the 22nd and the early morning hours of the 23rd, talking about killing and getting high off that gun smoke. They leave the party, Rondo and a couple others. While they leave, girls that they attended the party with get into a fight. Gunshots ring out. The girls call Rondo, D. Rose, and C-Day.
And after that, the girls left the party, calling the boys, arranging for them all to meet up at a nearby Wendy's. Now, it's unclear exactly what their strategy was at this point, but let's assume that this crew of BDs decided to head back into that GD territory that they had just left to try and retaliate for the girls in their entourage being shot at. So at the Wendy's, Rondo, D. Rose, and C-Day all got into one car, and they drove leading a convoy followed by 2 other cars filled with people that they'd been hanging out with that night, including Tay 600. When they reached 38th Street and Princeton in the Wentworth Gardens area, they passed a stationary car being driven by 28-year-old Joaquin Boyd.
I will now pick up the story using strictly the court transcripts. Joaquin Boyd was a 28-year-old cab driver. He had kids and a family that he was supporting. It was around 3 a.m. in the morning when the lead car carrying Rondo number 9, C-Day, and D. Rose made a U-turn after seeing Joaquin Boyd. We'll pick the court transcripts up in the 3rd paragraph. Defendants left the party with Herbert in Herbert's van. After they left, Johns, who remained at the party, got into an argument with a group of women known as Pretty in Pink because Johns disliked the song that was being played. As they argued, someone fired a gun into the air multiple times. Johns did not see who fired the shots, but she guessed that the shooter wanted to stop the argument because it was too loud. The gunshots did not hit anyone. After the altercation, Johns left the party with Brown, Carpenter, and Anderson. They left in John's car, with Anderson driving. Carpenter made a phone call to either Massey or Ely. Now, we have to remember this. Massey is Rondo number 9. Ely is C-Day. They're not going to use their street names. They put the call on speakerphone, and Brown could hear Ely's voice. That's C-Day, the guy on the right, which she recognized on the other end. Anderson drove to Wendy's, where they met up with a red car and Herbert's van. Ely and Massey exited the van and got into the red car along with a man named D. Rose. This is the one weird thing about this court transcript. It doesn't use D. Rose's real name. It uses his street name. What official paperwork do you know that they don't use somebody's real name? Either way, let's go. The 3 vehicles drove towards Wentworth Gardens in a convoy. First the red car, then Herbert's van, then John's car. According to Johns, they intended to see who shot at them and deal with the matter. Meanwhile, Latoya Adams was visiting her mother in Wentworth Gardens around 3 a.m. on the morning of February 22nd. She called for a taxi to go to a friend's house. Boyd, who was driving a car that contained no outside indication that it was a vehicle for hire, was dispatched to the call. As the 3-vehicle convoy approached 38th Street and Princeton, they passed Boyd, sitting in a parked car. waiting to pick up Adams. The three vehicles all made a U-turn and came to a stop. Massey, Ely, and D. Rose exited the red car and approached Boyd's car from the passenger side. Both Herbert and Johns witnessed the shooting. Herbert saw Massey and Ely open Boyd's passenger side door and saw Massey firing a gun into the car. She heard 4 or 5 gunshots, after which Massey and Ely returned to the red car and drove away. According to Johns, Massey and Ely spoke to Boyd, and then Jones saw a light flash from the gun, and Boyd jumping as if he was getting shot. At the trial, Johns said she did not see the actual gun, but in a prior statement to detectives, Johns identified Ely as the shooter. So we have one girl, Herbert, saying Rondo number 9, Massey was the shooter, and then we have another girl, Johns, saying Ely, C-Day, was the shooter. That's going to end up being very important. One more thing I should tell you. Their case is combined. They're both being tried together. Their case was not severed. So Massey, Rondo number 9, and Ely, C-Day, are both sitting at the defense table. They're both charged with first-degree murder. They have separate attorneys, but their case is not severed. They're both being tried at the same time. And there's going to be a blunder of errors by one of them, which, if the case was severed, I believe the other one would have been found not guilty. D. Rose ran back to John's car and said, "Shit," and he's dead. Massey and Ely ran back to one of the other vehicles, and all 3 vehicles drove away. As they left, Johns could see Boyd slumped over in his car. The shooting was captured on surveillance camera belonging to the Chicago Housing Authority, which owns the Wentworth Garden Housing Project. The video was shown for the jury. In the video, 3 vehicles drove past Boyd's vehicle and then drove back the other way. The convoy leader, a red car, stopped next to Boyd's vehicle, and 2 men got out, one wearing a striped tracksuit, Massey, and the other wearing a brown shirt and white pants, Ely. They approached Boyd's car from the passenger side and appeared to be talking to him. Boyd's car started backing up but hit a car a few feet behind him. At this point, D. Rose got out of the red car and ran back towards John's car. There was a bright flash of light coming from Ely's hand. Boyd's car surged forward a few feet and hit another parked car. Massey and Ely ran forward to look in the front passenger window. Ely returned to the red car. Massey followed him a few moments later, and the 3 vehicles drove away. So what that video is showing or saying is that Ely, C-Day, was the shooter because they only found 1 gun shell casing. The delivery car driver, Boyd, was only shot by 1 gun. Now, what happens from here on out is very important because it decides whether you're going to spend the rest of your life in jail or you're going to be free. Now, Rondo has a paid attorney. Massey has a paid attorney. Ely, C-Day, has a public defender. But, trust me, Rondo number 9, Massey's attorney, did him no favors. First off, his defense was he wasn't there, that his friends mistook him for somebody else. That's absolutely ridiculous. The state could bring up thousands of pictures of you and all these people together, but yet they don't know who they're next to for hours on end at a party, in a car. It was the most ridiculous defense ever. And when he got a new attorney, they actually brought that up for a reason to get a new trial on appeal. Was inadequate representation. So Rondo's he wasn't there. Now listen to this. C-Day dropped his phone at the shooting scene. C-Day drops his phone at the shooting scene. They go back to a gas station. C-Day gets out of the car. He's caught on surveillance camera, his face and everything. Same thing he's wearing was the same thing that shot the person who shot the delivery cab driver. Now they see his face. Plus, his phone is at the scene. He talks to one of the girls and convinces her to go back and try and recover his phone. Rondo Massey is never caught on surveillance camera at the gas station. They can't confirm that he was wearing that tracksuit. So we're going to start from the middle of the page on the court transcripts. In closing arguments, Massey's counsel argued that the state's witnesses were telling the police nonsense about who the shooters were in order to avoid being charged with the murder themselves. He pointed out that Massey was not present for the altercation at the party. His voice was not heard in Carpenter's phone call to Ely, and his face could not be identified in the blurry surveillance video of the shooting. Massey's counsel also stated, of those 3 eyewitnesses, did any one of them point to my client and say he was the shooter? None. Likewise, Ely argued. Not one single witness took the stand and said Courtney Ely shot a weapon. There's no testimony that Courtney Ely ever shot a gun, and I am not insinuating that Clint Massey shot a gun. I am insinuating that those women on that stand had reason to lie. Defendants were tried before a single jury. For both defendants, the state sought a conviction for first-degree murder and a 15-year sentence in enhancement for being armed with a firearm during the commission of an offense. The jury was instructed concerning accountability as to both the murder and the firearm allegation. The jury returned a general verdict finding both defendants guilty of first-degree murder, but it found that the firearm allegation was proven only to Massey. Following a sentencing hearing, Massey was sentenced to 39 years in prison. Now, I don't know what the jury saw to give Rondo number 9, Massey, the enhancement for having a gun. They said you can't tell in the video who had the gun, and if anything, that the spark came from Ely's hand. I think it's more likely that Ely shot that driver. And here's what's crazy about this case. So, if you had these cases separated and severed, using the state's theory of events, with that video and the shot coming from Ely's hand, here's the part you didn't hear. When they're by the passenger window, they asked Javon Boyd, are you from this neighborhood? Now, they don't ask him, Ely asks him. Ely and Ely alone asks him. 2 people can't say one sentence. Ely asks him, are you from this neighborhood? Javon Boyd says yes. Ely then shoots him multiple times. Well, right there, that should tell you any lawyer with a grain of salt, Ely acted on his own. He asked him a question. Depending on the answer to that question, he decided whether he was going to shoot or not. Rondo number 9, Massey, had nothing to do with it. He's standing there, yes, but it's only dependent upon Javon Boyd's answer to Courtney Ely's question that Ely shoots him. He asked him a question, he didn't get the answer he wanted, and he shot him. If you're Massey's attorney, there's nothing you could do. We'll use your own theory of events. We'll use the state's theory of events. That's what happened. Well, he shot him on his own. My client couldn't have stopped him. My client was there, but Ely has the gun. He asked him a question. He got an answer he didn't want, and he shot him predicated off that answer. You have to let my client go. That's the way I see it. And they both got sentenced to 39, 40 years, and they're both gone. It's sad that the taxi cab driver died, but in my thinking, a good lawyer could have got Rondo or Massey off.
Nah.
Why is that?
Get a good picture on. That's all. One of the buddies from the neighborhood.
Smell it and you want.
Nah.
Why is that?
Get a good picture on. That's all. One of the buddies from the neighborhood.